like keep burping all of a sudden. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tinashe and I'm a realtor out here in Orlando. And I'm making this video today just for you out there who may be thinking of purchasing your first house, making a move, and you just don't really know what the process entails. So stay tuned if you want to learn more. So while buying a home is a process, it's actually not as dramatic or stressful as a lot of people try to make it out to seem. It's a few steps that you do have to follow, but as long as you have the proper guidance, you do your homework, your research, you're pretty good to go. What I'm gonna give you is just gonna be the basics from step 1 until closing date. That way you know exactly what it entails. So step 1 is you actually have to make a decision. You have to decide like, hey, I'm tired of renting, I'm throwing away all this money, or I'm tired of living with my parents, tired of living with roommates, I want to be an adult now, or just whatever your story is, and be like, okay, it's time to make this move. So step 1 again, make the decision, you're gonna buy a house. Step 2 is to get connected. Buying a house is definitely not a every man for himself type of deal. It's definitely teamwork makes the dream work. You need people to help you. So the first person you should probably look for, it can be interchangeable. You need a realtor or at least a lender. Now most realtors, once you reach out to them like, hey, I've decided to make this big move, I want to purchase my first house, a good realtor is going to get you connected with a lender as soon as possible, because what a lender actually does is they get you pre-approved. And what a pre-approval is, it lets you know what it is exactly that you qualify for. So if you're like me, you like to daydream, I could be on Zillow for like 18 hours looking at $500 million homes, $500,000 homes, whatever. A lender will bring you into reality a little bit and be like, hey, this is a cool dream, but your bank account says $280,000 or $350,000, whatever. So you definitely want to talk to either a realtor first or a lender first, or vice versa. Those are going to be your two main people. So after you have your lender and your realtor and you find the house that you actually want to purchase or make an offer on, the next people you're going to need are inspection companies and appraisals. So with those, once you're under contract, you do want to know like, hey, this house that looks gorgeous, looks like my dream home, I just want to make sure it doesn't have like termites everywhere, asbestos, or I'm going to need to replace the roof like ASAP. So the inspector, that's what they're going to check for. So any defects with the house, anything at all that might possibly be wrong with it, those are your go-to. They'll have a whole sheet for you that'll let you know. Again, don't worry, if you have a good realtor, they are going to go over all of that with you, let you know what's a big deal, what's not a big deal. That way you can negotiate that with the seller. As far as an appraisal, if you are financing your house, so that means you're having a loan or financial institution give you money in order to purchase the house, they want to make sure they're getting their money's worth. So what an appraisal actually is kind of self-explanatory, an appraisal of the house. And how that works, let's say you have your dream house, you put an offer in, the house was listed for $300,000. It's in a super competitive market, you're like, I really want to get this, and you put an offer for $310,000 because you want to be super impressive, whatever. What the bank actually wants to know is this house worth the money that I'm actually giving you? So an appraiser will evaluate the home and they take everything into consideration. And while they may have listed it at $300,000 and you might have been super overzealous, just so excited about this house, listed it for $310 just to lock it in, an appraiser might be like, oh, I actually assessed this entire home, looked at the area, look at the updates, look at the neighbors' houses, doing what were called comps. This house is actually only worth $290,000. That's a problem for you. So that's something that does happen here and there. So that's something, again, with your realtor, you guys can then go back to the drawing table with the seller. You guys can negotiate whatever you need to negotiate at that point. So this can actually work out in your favor. So yeah, just to recap where we're at right now is you have your realtor, lender, you have your inspection company, and then you have your appraisal company. Last but not least, you need your title company. So when you're at the end of that line, hooray, you're about to get your house, you do need to do all the super sexy paperwork. So basically what the title company is they handle all of that stuff. So the legal documents, you sign your little portion of it, the seller signs theirs, you have everything notarized, and that's the step that's taken before you get your keys. So you can shop around for a title company. There's times though where the seller might already have a preferred title company, which again, that can be negotiated, but that's who is involved. So we have here our main group of people. These are who are gonna help you facilitate the rest of your transaction. And of course, I would say the most important out of all these groups of people are your realtors. Not really. I'm just kidding. But and I'm only saying this though just to say again, a good realtor who knows what they're doing is gonna already have some lenders in place that are reputable, that they work with, that they can refer you to. Same thing with lenders. They'll know the lenders that actually know their stuff, appraisal, inspectors, title companies. So realtors kind of just set you up on that way. Again, you should always do your research. You could take a referral, but do your homework on it. Just don't go with someone because your realtor said, hey, go with this person. Do your homework, but typically a good realtor will have reputable companies that can get you set up on the process. So step 3 is you are gonna start your home search. And this one, if you are working with a realtor, which you should be, this is the step where you're gonna figure out, okay, where's the house? What house do I actually want to buy? So you're gonna figure out your list. How many bedrooms do you want? How many bathrooms do you want? Do you want a backyard? Whatever. Do you want to be right next to your favorite grocery store? Next to the airport? Whatever fits your lifestyle and your needs. And yeah, so you and your realtor will work together. You can go tour these houses in person. I personally do a lot of virtual tours. Again, we are in that certain, the window that we're in right now with all this craziness moving around. So I do virtual tours for my buyers. So if you would feel more comfortable with that, you can see them in person or you could go virtual. You could look at pictures. But basically step 3 is just looking for the house, finding the house. And now step 4 is once you found that house that you want to purchase, is now you make an offer and you negotiate the term. This is where an excellent realtor comes in, because again, even though you find a house that's listed at $3,000, I wish, $300,000, that's not the end of it, I mean, if you want to, sure, you can just be like, okay, 300 grand, I really want this house, I'll do it all, whatever. But again, with a realtor, what we do is try to have your best interest in mind. So we're gonna comp the property, which means basically doing our own kind of evaluation to see like, hey, is this house actually worth $300,000? If it's not, I might advise my people, this house is listed for $300,000. It may need some work, or the area might not be that great, or it's been sitting on the market for almost 4 months now. Average days on market in our area is 48 days, and that's for not that great of a house. If something is really good in Orlando, it actually goes in less than 14 days. So I'm like, well, this house has been sitting here for a minute. You could probably negotiate for, let's just say $295 or something like that. On top of that, there are closing costs associated with buying a house. I like to negotiate closing costs for my buyers because again, they can get pretty pricey. Closing costs can be anywhere from, it ranges, but let's say anywhere from 3 to 7% of the purchase price. So do the math, that can get up there. But however, a lot of people don't know that you don't necessarily always have to pay those closing costs. A good realtor will try to negotiate those for you, whether the seller can pay all of them or at least cover a portion just to help you out. If there's anything in the house that needs to be fixed, that can be negotiated as well. So you need someone who actually knows what they're doing, can talk to the seller for you, the seller's agent, and just help you out in that sense. Typically, that contract period is anywhere from 30 to 60 days, just depending on what kind of financing you're doing. The super lucky people who are doing cash, you ain't gotta flex so hard, but whatever. Kidding. But if you are gonna do cash, typically that closes less than 10 days. I want to say like 7 to 10 days is when the cash deal closes, because again, you don't have to go through that whole finance process, approval, all that other stuff. So you guys are good. All right, so now we are on step 5, which is going to be your contract period. So from the time you get your offer accepted, you guys are then under contract, which your closing date can be anywhere from 30 to 60 days from that time. So within that window though, there's things you need to make sure you're doing. First and foremost, within the first 7 to 14 days, that's when you want to start doing your home inspection and getting your appraisal done. It's important to do that early, because one, if there's anything that needs to be negotiated or any work that needs to be done, you have that adequate time to at least try to fit that in before closing day. Or number 2 is if the appraisal comes back and it's the bank's not having it, or even you found something really, really big wrong with the house, you do have a get out clause, and that's within that first 10 to 14 days. So again, a good realtor is gonna keep track of that and make sure they're on top of everything, because if anything goes wrong, you do have a get out clause. Just because you are under contract does that mean you have to purchase that house. You have options. So all right, and then step 6 is right before closing, you're gonna have your final walkthrough. So final walkthrough, a little self-explanatory, but basically you're gonna go to the house before closing and walk through, make sure nobody came by while the house was empty, spray painted all your walls, just one hand, just ready the whole property. So this is where you make sure everything is all Gucci and there's nothing that needs to be fixed again, or nothing went wrong, or you even have like a petty seller who, never mind. But yeah, so final walkthrough, you're just going through, you're fixing what needs to be fixed. And last but not least, we are on step number 7. Yeah, I got it. Step number 7, and this is a closing day. Woohoo! So step number 7 is basically you are at closing. That's where, again, I mentioned earlier, the title company comes into play. So you normally meet at the office there. I'll say 9 times out of 10, in fact maybe 100% of the times, you're never gonna see the seller actually there. They will have their own separate appointment for that, but you go there, you meet with the notary agent and the title company. You're gonna go through all your paperwork, sign your documents, do all the legal stuff. You're gonna pay any final dues that you may owe, like your cash to close, all that fun stuff, and you get your keys, and now hey, you own a home. Congratulations. And that's pretty much it, guys. Again, it's not that stressful. It's 7 steps, which if you have an awesome agent, if you have an awesome agent, this will not be that stressful for you at all. Hope I covered a lot of the info that you guys were curious about. I will be making more videos in the future, so stay tuned for that. Again, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and I will see you in the next one.